I think this is on. We'll wait. We'll do a countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I will be adding something actually akin to a countdown screen next time, but we'll do it the human way. Okay, let me queue up the intro screen. Excellent. So here's what we're doing today. We are going to be making Space Invaders using Copilot Chat. But first, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an intro into Copilot Chat. And then I'm going to show you what the Space Invaders game looks like. I'll send you guys some resources that you can make the game. So follow up the chat. And then we're going to make Space Invaders, basically from zero. I have on my computer just some comments where files are supposed to be, and we'll see what the Copilot Chat can generate from those comments. So that's the journey for the day. It should be interesting. So let's begin with Copilot Chat. I'm going to bring something up on the screen. Bear with me. Copilot Chat. So, transition. Basically, Copilot Chat is an extension to GitHub Copilot. You need to get on a wait list. In my case, I've been on the wait list probably for over a month, and now I am in. I have posted this article in terms of what you need to do to get Copilot Chat. It's in the YouTube chat. And essentially, there's two steps. You need to basically get this Visual Studio Code Insiders build, which is a special version of Studio Code where all sort of the alpha experimental stuff is released. And then there's a Copilot extension, but this one is called Copilot Nightly. I have no idea why they called it Nightly. But look, it's been installed 388,000 times. So I'm pretty sure it's all good. Now this nightly version of Copilot Chat is going to turn up and give you a little, I don't know how to best describe it, but it's going to give you a little chat icon that's right here. And with that chat icon, you will be able to engage with GitHub Copilot Chat. Okay, so let's take a look at the files that we have. So if I actually just open the previous version, and I might find you guys, I made a OOP Australian, actually that was there for Australian teachers. I'll put this one in the chat. So this is 2021. I remember it was COVID. Google gave me and a friend of mine a grant to create a little object-oriented course for Australian high schools. And we did a lot in here. And the final version of this was basically making Space Invaders that are object-oriented. I've also taught this a number of times. So yeah, this is something I'm familiar with, although I haven't really coded it in 2 years. And I'll show you what a basic version of the game looks like. I'm going to press run here. And it would probably take me about an hour to program something like this. So you're basically having these aliens come from the sky and you're shooting them. The stream down there is like a stream of events that helps you troubleshoot with Pygame, because Pygame essentially works with an event loop where you manage various events. So that's the game. It's object-oriented, so what you have basically is a hero, you have an enemy, and you have a bullet. So the hero makes bullets to shoot the enemies, and that's that. This is the game loop. So instead of actually having this code, and I'm going to close all of it, I have left us. I've also gone ahead and cropped some cool assets from the internet. And I have left us basically just comments in each of these files. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and delete the sample right here. Move to recycle bin. And we will have only the comments to play around with. And this should be interesting. So we're going to take it from the comments and try to build the game from scratch. It's going to be challenging because ultimately we're going to need to do this in stages, and the comments describe what is going to be there in the final version. So I'm going to go into chat. I'm going to try to essentially write most of the code through here. I know a little bit of, well, like right now I'm not super confident, but I've done a lot of Pygames, so I should be able to assist. Now, where do we start? Can you create some boilerplate code for Pygame? I would like a, how big is my screen gonna be? Maybe 720 by 480, 720 times 480 screen, and an event loop. Okay, let's see what it can do here. Now, how nice is this, right? We got ourselves some boilerplate code. We're going to leave the instructions for the main down later, but I think that's very nice. So we've imported Pygame. We've initialized Pygame. We have a window. The screen has been created. There is a caption. I usually forget to put the caption. And there's an event listener here. And it's only listening for the quit event. So if I press run here, this should give me a Pygame window, look. And then I can close this window, right? That's very, very nice. Okay, so looking at that, I can now attempt to try to draw a player. A player is gonna be like a rectangle. It's gonna be at the bottom. I can try to draw a player at the bottom. But before I do that, we can actually play around with this idea of, you know, for event.get, we can try to print event here. And I'll show you what happens when we do that. It's a lot of fun. Look at me when I drag the mouse. That means like the mouse is moved. If I press a key, it's recording the key presses. Okay? And so mouse movements. That's essentially the principle upon which a lot of game engines work. Okay, so what's sort of the next thing that I want to do here is I want to create the hero class. I want to create the player. And I have already created kind of like the basics. So if I highlight this, so these are the variables. The hero is going to have a location, X and Y. The hero is going to have a speed. He's going to have a width and height. He's going to have a color, and the hero can keep score. Now, the score itself could be an object, but that's like I usually just give the score to one of the objects that isn't multiplying itself, and the hero isn't multiplying itself. So the hero is going to have those attributes. These are the variables that are attached to the hero. So in object-oriented programming, an object is essentially something that has a collection of variables and then has some functions, usually. The functions that the hero is going to be able to do is it can set X speed. Again, this is not necessary. I guess it's the best practice when you're changing one of the attributes of a hero to have a function for it, but I don't think it's completely necessary. It can move itself and it can increase the score. And most importantly, it needs to be able to draw itself or draw himself. So if I just highlight this code and I go into there and I say study the highlighted code and create and write me a hero class in Python according to the highlighted comments. Okay, that's looking good. The color is white, but that's fine. It even does the comments on like why and how it's doing stuff. Draw rectangle. That's important. I would have forgotten how this function works. So you need to put it on a surface. So the surface, I believe, is the screen. Increase the score, self.score plus equals 1. Okay, I'm just totally going to copy this code. And goodbye to my comments. I really think, actually, can you give me the same code? Give me the same code, but have the multi-line, like have the triple quotes, have the comments look like this. Comment goes here instead of like this. Comment goes here. Actually, the way that he has them is like one, two, three. Hopefully it can rewrite the code, because I don't like this. I want it to do it again for me. And it doesn't. That's annoying. It's a very basic thing I wanted. Never mind. Okay. So this is the hero class. And the hero currently seems to have everything we need to be able to like draw the hero on the screen. I'm now going to ask it a question. In the main.py, can you add a hero object and move it left and right with right and left arrow keys? Wow. And the way that it knows its own workspace is amazing, right? So let's see. We have actually created a hero. Screen width divided by 2. The hero is going to be super wide. He currently thinks that this is Pong, not Space Invaders, which is fair enough. But look at this. Key up. He's already handling the hero movement. Let's see how well it's implemented. I mean, this is pretty unbelievable. I'm really not having to write any code here at all. Okay, look at this. Whoa, too fast. All right, we need to work on the speed. We need to handle some stuff here. But how did I need to understand this code. Hero screen width. Screen width divided by 2 with no remainder. How is it that small? Comma screen height minus 50. These are the X and the Y of the hero. What am I talking about? So the hero is basically halfway of the screen width. And because of the way the height goes, I'll explain here. If we take that, the height of the screen is here. So if it says it's moving 50 pixels off of the bottom, because this is 0, Y goes down in this direction. So if we want it to be closer to the bottom, which we do, we're basically going to change that to like minus 30. And watch this, it's going to be closer to the bottom. Yeah, look at that, closer to the bottom. Now the hero speed, there's something crazy happening here. Hero set speed 0. This is correct. Again, left and hero speed is less than 0. Okay, so it sets the speeds to 0 when we lift the key up. Now, these speeds here are absolutely nuts. Let's try -1 and 1. Now, I don't know how many frames a second the game runs at. Maybe it's going to be able to tell me. What is the FPS of this game? Clock. Oh, we did not have a clock. That's why the thing was running so fast. By default, Pygame will maximum possible FPS. Okay, great. Can you add the clock to main.py, and I would like to run the game at, let's just try 30 FPS. Wait, I don't see the clock at all. Clock.tick 30, great. But, oh, it's created literally line before the loop. Fine. I wouldn't put the clock there, but I'm not going to complain. All right, so far, I mean, this is some very, very common code. Like the number of times that people have made Space Invaders in Pygame is thousands. But look at that, that's smooth. And I think its initial speed of 5 for a clock speed of like, yeah, that was good. I think we can go all the way up to 10. So its speed was actually better than mine. And I was like, oh, look at that. That feels about right. Let's see if we run it at 5, but actually double the FPS. Is it gonna feel smoother? So clock tick 60. Yeah, it feels a little bit smoother. Okay. Now, moving on. We have now got an event management system. We have a clock. We have a hero. We sort of have an object-oriented template. We have too many comments. Like, I would never write code that looks like this. But if you want to print documentation, this is actually going to be really, really nice. Let's go into the next object, which is going to be either the bullet or the enemy. So let's experiment with the bullet. I'd like to just be able to shoot stuff before anything else. So let's go into chat. Can you please read the highlighted comments and create a bullet class? So the idea with the bullet is that we're going to press space and the bullet gets created. Response got filtered. This is funny. How about a copy? Does it copy? Oh, all right. Maybe I'll have to write this myself. What if this is really funny. Response got filtered. How can you make games without bullets, guys? This is embarrassing. Let's rename this. This is like, yeah, this is protection gone wrong. What do we call bullets? We can call them pellets. Pellet class.py. Or maybe rays, ray class. Like, you know, death ray, whatever. Now I'm afraid of saying stuff in front of it. Okay. Ray class. Okay. And now I'm going to control F here, and I'm going to replace, find bullet and replace with ray. Okay. Okay. Let's attempt this. Can you please read the highlighted code for the 𝗦𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗃 class and highlighted comments for the 𝗦𝗘 class and create the code for me? And create the code for me. All right. I was going to actually open YouTube and see how the stream is going and see if we got any comments from people. Okay, here are the comments. Here are the comments. How about that? Oh, hello to 𝗪𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗃. What about the projectile? I really wish I saw that comment on time, but thank you guys for the suggestion. Okay, by the way, yeah, I can see the stream. It's slightly distracting, but we should keep going on. Okay, here we go. We got 𝗓𝗡s here. And let's see. They have an X, a Y, they have a speed, they have a width and height. I think we can make them sort of, that's a 5, like make them 3 by 15 pixels. I don't know. Let's make them smaller. Or if they're raised, they should be higher, 3 by 25. Okay. That's how you draw them. Now, they still need a move. So let's, why you didn't give me a move is really, really annoying. See? Copilot itself is telling me to do the move. Self.y plus self.y speed. Okay. And the self.y speed, you know what? That needs to start off existing. Let's start with 25. So it needs to go up. So minus is down, plus is up. I don't know if it's going to go up, but I think let's try this. At the most basic level, if we were to create this object, if we run the init, it's going to create it. It's going to have a speed. It should just start to fly. All right. So with the 𝗦𝗘 class, let's actually use the, let's use the comment. So in the main.py, can you create an instance? That means an instance of the 𝗦𝗓 object when space is pressed. So when key space, 𝗦𝗓 equals the. Now it knows where to put the 𝗦𝗓 in the middle of the hero width divided by 2. And this double thing is very, very important because otherwise it's going to get like integers. 𝗪𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗃. We will see. The screen 𝗪𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗃 is upside down in Pygame. So I think it's 50-50. Well, I think I'm about 80% chance that I'm right, but let's find out. I'll just copy this whole code. So far it hasn't been giving me any silly bugs. The accuracy at a basic level here has been, oh, 𝗪𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗃. You could well be right. I don't know what's going on here. This is not moving. So it's not moving because in this game loop here, I do have movement set for the hero. I actually need to update with the bullet. If I have a bullet or a 𝗦𝗓, I would need to update it. But if I have many, I'll need to have them as a part of a list. So I can just give it instructions and let's see if it meets them. Okay, in the main program, create a list called 𝗓𝗡s. Every time I create a 𝗓𝗓, add it to the list in the game on loop. Go through all the arrays and move them. I mean, by moving them, you know, you take their y and you plus equals to their y speed. But I think they have a ray.move actually. Ray class has ray.move. So for rain rays, ray.move. There you go. For rain rays, ray.move, ray.draw on the screen, Pygame display update. Now, I'm going to copy this code and then I might spend 5 minutes just reading over it and making sure that it's sort of organized in a logical way. Because so far it was so good in terms of what's happening. All right. I am shooting in the wrong direction. 0, stop left. 𝗪𝗪𝗘𝗧𝗦's on top of this. Thank you guys. Okay. 𝗪𝗪𝗘𝗧𝗦, you're correct. I was wrong. Negative 25. Yes, negative is up. It is upside down. So upside down actually means negative being up. Okay. So if we open this, I don't appreciate you not running. Hello from Pygame community. Where is my Pygame though? I have no window. Is it hidden? Let me close everything. All right, I'll close all my terminals. I'll open a new terminal. I'm really apologize, guys. I'll file save all. They're all saved. And then I'm gonna go open up insiders again. Was I pressing play on the, not on the main? I don't know. We're back. It works. We're firing this thing. Ah, that's good. I mean, these look pretty realistic, hey. Okay, we're gonna need like we're gonna need those invaders to have life because we're firing these bullets like crazy. Okay, so here's what we're gonna need. We're gonna need to create an invader class, and we do have some boilerplate for it. So let's take a look at this. Go back into the chat, read the highlighted code, read the highlighted comments, and create the code for the enemy class. Now, with the way that our bullets are working, I'm going to want to give these enemies life. And thank you for all the comments. I mean, how this stuff works is pretty basic, but... And I think there's a more sophisticated way of sensing these collisions, but let's just try this, okay? Let's just try this. So, let's see. Enemies, hey, look, they are red. By the way, I think we can make at least the bullets green, or make us green, the bullets white. Hero color. Let us know in the comments if you have a desired color for the hero. But definitely not white. Red right now is going to be purple. I'll live with that. Going back to the enemy class, stay on task, Sanjin. It draws it as a rectangle. The color is red. I want the color to be green. The enemies, I believe, were green in the Space Invaders. The hero is kind of multicolored. The they only move down. Okay. Okay. This all looks fine. This all looks fine. Yeah, green is the enemy color. So here's what I want to do now. Can you add the enemies to the main program? I want a new enemy created every 3 seconds. Use a list like with the arrays. And I'm purposefully giving it not super specific instructions, because like I might as well program this bloody thing if I'm gonna have to tell it everything in detail. I really like that it put enemies here right next to the arrays, right? It makes perfect sense. So you draw the screen first, then you draw all of these guys. And there's the enemy timer. Game clock, current game, enemy timer. I'm not sure I love this. I would have just made this, yeah, all right. I think I can improve on that, definitely. The best way to make something happen every, say, 3 seconds is just use divisibility. So you do the percentage sign. But nonetheless, like the fact that all of these things are getting built out from very general comments means that if you know how games work, if you understand how 2D games work, you don't actually need to know any buy game. Oh. Oh yeah, there he is. Pew, pew. Oh, the collisions are not working. Never mind. And the enemies. Okay. The enemies are too fast. And they need to be generated at a random X dimension. All right. So when we create, like, let's find a code that creates the enemy and inspect how it did this. Here, enemy X. Yeah, we did it based on the screen width. And then it makes the enemy. And then it appends the enemy to the enemies, right? That's all very lovely. Now, the collisions are not working yet, but I think that this is going to at least have the enemies spawn in all the right spots. And we can make them bigger. I don't like the red. This is some sort of weird VS Code import error. I have seen this before. Come on, enemies. Oh no, enemies not defined. Enemies not defined? Really? You didn't... Oh, you did not add enemy class import enemy. All right. It's still red though. Enemy init takes 1 positional argument, but 4 were given. Okay, init. So, okay. Let's see, where's my enemy created? Enemy is created here. And actually, yeah. So you should take copy, self, comma, x, comma, y, comma. Okay, so it sort of specifies the speed. Fine. Y speed. So we could say here x equals x, y equals y, and that's okay. So just if you've not seen these before, you essentially take the parameters here and you sort of assign them accordingly. So the init function in OOP creates an object. Sometimes you want to specify the attributes of that object when you create it. Sometimes you want to force the people to specify it. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes everything can be fully automated. Now let's go back into main and see if we can actually have these enemies crash. Oh no, they're real. They're real. They're coming. Oh, I'm going to slay them. All right. I think the enemies need to be bigger. Maybe make them 50 by 50. And then we need to fix these collisions. The collision does not work. Self.x, bullet.x. Okay. I want you to copy. Can you please try to find a better way to sense collisions and rewrite the method. Okay, look at that. So it uses some built-in collider. Yeah, let's try that. So let's take a quick look. Now, it defines the rectangle of the enemy and defines the rectangle of the bullet, and then it checks that there is collision. Now, by the way, I mean, are we checking sense collision every single frame? I don't know if this is going to slow down the game. I suppose the other thing that we do need to do is, having said that, we actually need to see that the main is checking for collisions, right? So the enemies are being made here and they're being moved here. Oh, okay. If enemy sense collision, with the hero, do we actually have a parameter for sense collision? Okay, we should sense collision with perhaps instead of bullet. Okay, 1 second. This is very important. Bullet should be replaced with other because, or should we even care if it collides with the hero? I don't know. This is other. And it'll be self and other. So the enemy sensing collisions. Okay. Cool. It makes sense because, so now if enemy sense collision with hero, game on equals false, fair enough. We can edit. And we can say if enemy dot sense collision with raise. Oh, enemies that remove enemy. Now that's interesting. We went raise. Can it really check collection? Can it check collision with the entire list? Is this built in? That is randomize the X position. So have I. Cool. All right. Let's take a look at this. They're going to be big. Wait. No. Enemy object does no attribute sense collision. What did I just write? No attribute. It's a method. Sensor collision. It auto-completed that. It's a bit scary how confidently wrong AI is sometimes. Okay, no attribute, it's still. Okay, enemy.sense collision. If you guys can see an error here, save me. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say main.py is giving me an error. Can you solve your own problems? Here we go, Control C. Can you fix? What? And to include sense collision method that takes in the other parameter. The other parameter can be either a hero or a bullet object. Okay, I didn't consider something, apparently. Let's just put this guy in and compare. So this, if it's the hero, so you would treat it completely differently if it's a hero. Return enemy, return false. So because this is a list, you needed to write a special for bullet in bullets. Okay. I'm still not sure this is going to work. Yeah, I think we're failing because we're trying to sense this for a list. And I think there might be a better way of doing this. So in this case, I feel like the AI might be failing us, but let's see. Yeah. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and undo the enemy class change. And I'm just going to give up on the hallucination that it did, how it's sensing collisions with a list. Now, a lot of, I mean, Python or Cena senses collision with a list. A lot of, I believe Unity does the same. So this is like, I can see why it hallucinated it. But let's stop this raise thing here. For ray and raise, for enemy and enemies, if enemy sense collision and hero game 1 equals false, right? For ray and raise, and I think we're still going to need to go, this is going to be a bit nuts, for enemy and enemies. Enemy.reset. Like, I don't even think that reset exists. Look at this. Reset. There is no reset. This is like so much hallucination. Hero.increase score. Does that exist? Oh, it does. Okay, fair enough. You didn't hallucinate that. Raise.remove ray. This should work. There's a lot of nested loops. I'm afraid like the game might slow down. The enemy object has no attribute sense collision. Wait. What am I doing? Rays. Rays have no sense collision. So this is again hallucinated. For enemy and enemies, if enemy dot sense collision with a ray, then hero will increase score and rays will remove the ray that it sense condition. And do we really break? Because we should only break out of this loop. Yeah, I am getting enemy object has no attribute sense collision. Well, let me think for a minute. Okay, so we have many enemies. And we have many bullets. What if we had just one enemy? Just for experimentation's sake, if we had one single enemy. So if the enemies came, I'm going to comment out this code and we're going to have a single enemy. And so we're going to test the collision on a single enemy. That's how to do this. And then if the collision works for a single enemy, then we will make it work for the list. Okay? This will be 300. So enemy speed, what? We've set a constant there, have we? Enemy speed equals 2. Okay. So now we've got one enemy, right? One single enemy. So now we're going to move the rays and then go if enemy dot sense collision with ray. Enemy y is going to be to 0. Okay, so we're not even going to try to delete it. Enemy.draw screen, rays.remove ray. Okay. Sense collision. Now that there, enemy class. Oh my God. Everything could have maybe been fine. I think we have an indentation error here. Oh my God. That's why it didn't exist. The whole thing probably worked. Why is my enemy not here? Oh. I shouldn't be creating it in a loop anyway. I'll create the enemy here. 0, 300, enemy speed should be... No, 300 is the X. Oh, wait. There he is. Okay, the collision works. He's been respawning. There is something weird about the enemies not moving yet. So, for enemy and enemies, okay, we need to get rid of this as well. And we need to enemy.move. Let's try running this. Please. No. Majorly stuck. So enemy.move. There's no more enemies. It's not there. I'm very frustrated. The enemy is not appearing on, let's see here. The main program does not have the enemy appear. Can you please fix? And it wants to do the whole thing again. Enemies is a list, wants to create it. Maybe if everything already worked, this is all gonna just work. Maybe it was just that indentation issue. Don't think so. It doesn't, oh wait. Okay. It works. They get faster though. Every time I press space, they accelerate. This works. I'm pretty certain that it was the indentation of the sense collision thing that completely messed us up. Now, we basically have a problem with timing. And also we have a problem with, no, that's not an indentation issue. That's how it's supposed to look. Let's take a look at why the thing appears to accelerate when we press space. This is just too much. This is just too much. Let's try to see if we can improve things. Can you investigate the code for any nesting issues? I think this could be done more efficiently. I suppose, you know, if there's a benefit of watching me get stuck here, it is that at some point you use AI too much as a crutch. And yeah, things can get pretty messy. So let's see what it says. Based on the excerpt you provided, there is a nested loop that iterates over the rays and enemies. This nested loop can be improved efficiency using 𝗦𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗦 method in the Pygame rect to detect enemy ray objects. So remove the collided enemies from the enemies list. Enemies to remove dot append. So instead of, it adds an extra list here, but how many layers of indentation do I currently have and how many does it say? We have 1, 2, 3. Doesn't really. I mean, how is this going to improve it? So you handle events here, you generate enemies here, and then you have 1, 2, 3 there. I guess you get rid of this break thing. Enemies to remove. I don't know. I am not going to pygame.display update. I'm going to try this. Not like I got a lot to lose. Enemies to remove for rain raise. It kind of does things differently though. If I go screen.fill00, and go there. And we run that, an expected indent. Yeah. And I've done that one too many times. While game on is not defined, really. Game on equals false. How did we lose game on? Okay, this looks... Why? Why does it accelerate? I'll get rid of that old change. I'll return game on. And let's look at the collision. So if enemy senses collision with the ray, we should remove the ray as well. I mean, the ray is here. Rays.remove ray, enemies.remove enemy. This fine, just go all the way. I've pressed play too many times. Now it's just opening repeatedly. Okay. Okay, the rays do disappear. Let me hold space. And they do accelerate when I hold space, and the speed keeps getting faster. But no, actually. That's good. Okay. Okay. If we look at enemy's speed, enemy speed is a constant of 2. So in theory, it shouldn't be getting any faster. How can I increase the enemy speed? Oh, it's a good suggestion. Let's make the enemy speed 1. And then click on its suggestion a little bit. Okay. I What about the enemy speed appears to get faster while I'm holding space? Can you explain? Running more slowly than the player is firing rays. In the move method, each enemy object once per frame. When the ray object is pressing the spacebar, the game loop has to perform additional operations more slowly. Enemy objects appear to move faster. Okay. Let's take it as a limitation of Pygame. And let's move on to perhaps something new. Let's add some game assets. This is not something I used to do when I taught this, but I have created these. And I don't think that this should be too difficult. I mean, Pygame has some built-in functions. So like, can you update the draw method for the hero to have, you can select which image you want the hero to be 𝗦𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗟. Let's try that. Can you update the draw method of hero class to use the 𝗦𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗟 asset? Hero image, Pygame transform scale. Okay, we're going to copy the draw inside the hero class. And is this entirely, this indentation killed us last time. It's threatening to do so again. Okay. So it loads the image and then it transforms its scale to our width and height. So we might want to change the hero width and height depending on how this looks. Am I pressing play on not main? Yeah, I am. That just crashed. Okay. You should know where stuff is. Let's go into, I think it's in assets. Like that. Assets. Ooh, did they use forward things? Let's try now. Spelling, Sanjin, spelling. Okay. Copy, paste, which is in the assets folder in the root directory. Path.join assets. I really don't know why getting like the paths should just work. Let me just try one more thing. Hero.image loads. Yeah, this should work. Assets. What was the name of this thing? So it's in a folder. It is called the assets. It is hero2.jpg. Oh, maybe it was all caps. Hero2.jpg. Like this should work. Really should. But if it fails, I'm going to do this import OS business. And that will work. It better. No such file or directory. Oh, 𝗦𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗃. What's going on? 𝗦𝗘𝗖𝗢𝗃. Please, come on. I'm flustered. Okay, fine. I will implement what it wants. I'll import OS, and then I'm going to copy the new draw function in hero class. And then OS is imported up top. Let's try now. Hey, here we are. Happiness. Oh, too fast. Okay, we need to be able to die when this thing comes for us. And we definitely... Enemy speed 1. Seems to have... Enemy speed 1 seems to have sped it up. Let's go and have a look at where the enemies are created. And it does say enemy speed here, and that is a constant. Okay. And so... Let's see how often enemy speed is called. Enemies.fill for rain rays for... See, enemy moves inside ray dot... Like inside here. So I think I quite simply need to take this loop and just take it out. Just take it completely out and put it here for enemy and enemies. And now they're going to be too slow because speed 1's going to be too slow for them. And this is going to have to be a second enemy loop for enemy and enemies. So perhaps the enemy and enemies should go up there. Now, we're beginning to get at the bottom of why this was bad. Yeah, see, that's speed 1. That's much better. That is much better. Okay, so I think I'm going to make the enemy speed 5 now, or 4, whatever. Let's try 4. I'm going to make the hero faster. Hero speed self.xspeed. Where am I creating the hero.xspeed? Okay, so it's inside a hero class. Oh, no. I'm doing this when I'm pressing the left and right keys. 5. Let's go 10. Okay, so we're gonna have faster enemies, faster hero. Oh yeah. Okay, so now we can have enemies more often, and then maybe we can give them a bit of life. We'll give them a costume. Then we'll give them life, and then we'll do animations, and then I have to go to my daughter's swimming lesson. Okay, so ticks 3,000, 3 seconds. Let's go 2 seconds here. Can you... This is the enemy. Can you modify the enemy class, which is highlighted, to give enemies a value of 5 for life. Each collision removes 1 from their life, and they get removed from the enemy list when their life is 0 or less. So what this is going to do is actually require you to shoot the enemy multiple times. Self.life equals 5. Collision is there. If the enemy collides, it loses 1 of life. And if it reaches 0 or less in life, it then returns true. So this could be everything that we need in order to make this run. I think we deserve a bit of a break after being done by indentation. Self.life, self.life, self.life equals 5. Am I missing anything else? I don't think so. Main, run. Oh my God. Oh! There is something though. Every time the ray collides, the ray needs to be destroyed. Also, every time the ray collides with the enemy, the ray needs to be destroyed or whatever, removed from ray list. So if enemy sense collision with ray, see, this only returns true. And we can maybe remove the rays.remove ray from here. If ray collide. Okay, relax. So what we need to do in the sense collision, when this collision happens, we can send some kind of a message to remove the other. We can have maybe two functions. So we can return true for the sense collision, but then we don't have to remove the enemy. So if the enemy sense collision with the ray, you can remove the ray. So you do all of that. You can even increase score. No, we'll save this. Oh, actually, we'll even save this. So we'll remove the rays. We are going to take this. And so we're doing that. But if enemy.life is less than 0, then that. And that way, we don't have to change any code. This could work. I mean, it'd be better to handle it all in the method, but... Oh, can't kill it, can't kill it, can't kill it. Okay. Let's troubleshoot. So we're going to make the enemy speed back to 1. So this is happening. It's removing the rays successfully. That's really, really good. So the rays get removed. Now, enemy.life minus equals 1 should probably be the next thing that happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And crash! Okay, this is fine. This is looking... So line 79, rays.remove ray. Ray's not in list, but if it collided with the enemy, because it happens again. Well, if the ray's already removed, let's try this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah! That's it. that's it. These are some highly resistant, hard to kill Space Invaders. Okay, let's give them some graphics and let's see if we can add an animation. And that's going to be the wrap. So, enemy graphics. We're going to go Invader 2, Invader 1. Okay, we have some comments. Assets Hero JPG. But it was all caps. Oh, backspace assets. I'll look, 𝗪𝗘𝗧𝗦𝗧𝗧𝗧, I'll try going your way. Don't need AI for this, making it harder than it really is. Demon, you're right. No, you should have seen the beginning though. The AI made it 10 times easier. But when you get a little bit complicated, making it yourself was probably the way to go. So let's go into the enemy class. And this, we can do this manually. This time, these are the sort of 3 lines that we want to include in the draw. So we're going to have an enemy image. Can get rid of that. Let's do with it. Let's try without the OS path. So if we said assets enemy or invader2.jpg, let's try that. Invader2.jpg. Okay, we will try this. I'm gonna try to use the enemy image here. Now we're gonna surface.blit the enemy image. Let's give this a go. No, I keep pressing play as if it always is gonna play the main. Oh, look at that. First try. Yes. Okay. Last pièce de résistance. The last thing that we're going to do here is going to be to try to create an animation. So what I want to happen is when I kill the enemy, I want to create like 10 copies of the enemy that are much smaller. So like if the dimensions of the enemy are 50 by 50, I want to make 10 copies that are like 5 by 5, and then I want to scatter them in random directions. So, yeah, it could be possible to create that inside the sort of enemy class. I mean, it would create 10 instances of itself. It could be possible to create a new class called Explosion. Can you write a new class called Explosion? It's going to have one method called explode. Explode will create 10 enemy objects with the, oh, don't worry about the dimensions. I'll fix the dimensions. They will start off at a given x, y location and then scatter in a random direction for 1 second before being destroyed. Jesus, this is not easy. Explosion class. New! Again! No bullets, no explode. We're not trying to blow anything up. How can you make games without explosion? Called bubble. Method called boom. In order to make this work though, enemy speed, yeah, random.uniform, enemy.move, pygame.display. So here's what we're gonna need. I think that the problem, if I understand this correctly, like Pygame doesn't have threading, so we're gonna have to do this in like even less than a second. It's gonna freeze the screen every time an enemy explodes, so we're gonna have to make this like 0.5. And we're really gonna need to go into the enemy and like specify everything on the init. Everything. We have currently X, Y speed. We're gonna need to specify X. We can give them default though. X speed equals to 0. So we'll just give them default values. Y speed, equals to 1, whatever we normally give it. So X speed equals, we're going to say X speed here. What else do we need for this thing? We need the enemy X speed, enemy Y speed. Okay, this is fine. Enemy X, enemy Y. Okay, this is fine. This is fine. This is fine. So copy and create. Not inside assets, inside the main one, called explode class dot py and explode class dot, what's red? What? Enemy? From enemy class import enemy. Keep forgetting the imports, buddy. We need to import Pygame. Anything else? Screen. Do I boom, comma, screen? So that can be taken as a parameter. Okay. Class bubble. No, class explosion. But explosion.boom. Okay. Let's just do the boom. When we create itself, we're going to actually call the boom. And then therefore we need to X, comma, Y, comma, screen. Oh my God. Self, I think we need to call it by self.boom. So the idea here is we're just going to create the explosion object. Oh, I was going to also specify size of the enemy. Yeah. Because we want, they're going to be big, but let's just get it to work and then we'll make them tiny. And then we can create the explosion in the main.py, create an explosion using the explosion class when enemy life is less than 1. Is 0 or less. You don't create it there. You create it from explosion class import explosion or whatever. At this point, we have reached a point like where I almost feel like the AI in this case is just like the scale of the program. It's not too many lines. We're dealing with like 200 lines. It's beginning to struggle here. It really is beginning to struggle here. So we can create an explosion, and that's it. Like everything that's part of this explosion object should disappear by itself. Let me just go back into the explode class and see like if it's missing parameters. X, Y, screen. Nope. Okay. This could work. One, two, three, four, five. Okay, there's some weird stuff going on. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Not too bad, not too bad, not too bad. At least it's doing something. So the enemy, this is specific to an enemy X, enemy Y. So if we go into the explode class, we're importing the enemy X and the enemy Y. There is a screen that you're drawing, so the boom goes there. So now you're creating enemy objects, but the X and the Y should be the X and the Y that we specified. Enemy.draw screen. So you're going to draw them on the screen. You're going to move them all. And when this time loop is over, I mean, it feels like it should work. Let's print. Let's print X and Y in each case here. X, comma, Y. So when we do shoot the one guy, we're going to at least see if the explosion is trying to spawn at the right spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, it's 0, 0. So that this is the X and the Y are not carrying correctly. So yeah, that's the problem. So the explosion happens after the enemy's been removed. And that's why that should be the very first thing that happens, not the last. So now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Enemy.x, enemy. So enemy.life is less than 0. We haven't removed it. Why don't we print enemy.x, comma, enemy.y. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that X and Y are correct right here. Look at that. And when we create the explosion object, why don't we, if we go into the explode class, let's see where the X and the Y go completely wrong. Self.x, self.y equals 0. X, Y. Okay. So I think we're going to fix the location of the explosion right now. Close that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's solid. That is solid. So let's take a look at the enemy class, and let's the X speed and the Y speed are specified. They have default values. And I think we can also give their size some default values, self.width, self.height. So width, height, comma, W equals 50, comma, H equals 50. And so for the explosion, we're going to make them tiny when we create the enemy in the explosion. So we're going to specify, let's take a look at the enemy class. We're going to specify everything manually. X.Y. So what are the next values? X speed and Y speed. Explode class. We are specifying them here, so that shouldn't matter, but we can specify width equals to 5, comma, H equals to 5. This should work. Now, also with the enemy.move, I don't think the enemy.move has anything with the Y speed, with the X speed. So we're going to add the self.x. And let's try this now. Nothing running because we're not in main. We should see an explosion. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, look at that. Okay, so we basically need to remove the enemy and then create an explosion. I think, hopefully, we can specify X and Y. We can preserve the enemy X and Y here, so that if the enemy is removed, which makes the most sense to get rid of it, we can, in the explode class, maybe make 8 of them. For enemy and enemies, make this 0.5 of a second. X speed and Y speed, minus 25 to 25. Now, if we run that, there's still, I'm still a little bit worried that we're gonna have a nested loop situation. Yeah, but that's looking much better. Okay, so with the enemy class, self.y speed, self.x speed, that should be 0. Self.x speed should be 0. Self.x. Self.x speed equals 0. That's specified to 0. Why is it moving sideways? That's annoying. Okay. Also, there's nothing moving. They're just drawing them randomly because I think of all of this nested stuff. I do think that the explosion could come into existence when the enemy life reaches 0. So instead of being called here, it never really stops existing after it gets removed. So if that gets called, if enemy life is less than 0, sense collision, move, draw. You could even do some crazy if self.life is less than 0. Would you do it here or would you do it in the move? You could do it in the move, probably. Or sense collision. I don't know. I keep being in two minds. So this is going to return true if it collides with something. But in the collision, you could say something like if self.life is less than 0, we removed that life before, we could create an explosion from explode class, import explosion. And inside here, you could say explosion. It could do the explosion there. Why is this? What's wrong with it? For parameter screen. So that's going to have to take the parameter screen. And the explosion. Does the explosion method require the boom, self.boom? But that self.boom creates automatically. So the explosion itself needs a screen. Okay. Enemy class, comma. And so we're going to need to pass the screen in every single time. I don't think we need to create. You can even just do it like that. So let's try to comment out that we commented out the explosion when we create the enemies. You could pass in the screen as a parameter. It is screen. What is the problem here? Because we have enemy X speed and enemy Y speed, right? Comma 0, comma. What's your problem now? Surface is incompatible with init. Well, I wish I knew that earlier. I wish I knew that earlier. I think we do need a 0 here. So I can't pass explosion into the enemy because I could actually create enemy.boom. Draw self and surface. So if I did the surface here and then a surface there, then maybe automatically when the enemy senses collision, not there, when the enemy senses collision here, it's gonna do it. I don't know. Let's find out. Cannot import name enemy from partially initialized circular import. Explode class creates explosion, but yeah, no, this is not going well. You're gone. We have imported explode class here. And the only thing that I could say is we could try a Boolean. That's the very last thing. And I'm done. I'm done in 2 minutes. Explode equals to false. And in this case, explode equals to true. And then all the way in like a dedented state here, if explode explosion and explode equals false. Okay. As things happen, life gets in the way. If this doesn't work, I am done. Thank you guys for your patience. I will post a YouTube video with this game completed. It is coming by tomorrow. Thank you very much. Sorry to stop on this note. We can't always get what we want. I will see you at the next stream and expect a completed game with explosions to land in the next 24 hours. Thank you still for watching. Much, much appreciated. Bye-bye.